Hello techies, welcome to Techie Vedas. Today's session objective is Unix file structure or Unix file hierarchy, Unix file system, different types of Unix files and Unix file permissions and related information, few basic Unix or Linux commands which we use on daily basis. Let's start this session now. Unix file system. Unix file system is a logical method of storing and organizing the either small amounts or large amount of information in a way that which makes it easy to manage and to retrieve whenever we require. Here means the name itself saying that in Unix everything is in form of files, whether it's a directory or subdirectory or normal files. Actually, Unix file system has several important features. Whatever the data which is stored in the files, that may be text data or binary data, some image like that, related to some users, related to some system, temporary files like that. All the data in Unix is organized in a proper way in the form of files, directories and subdirectories. All the files are organized into directories which contains various kinds of information, as we already discussed, right? The file may be a text file, binary file, some other files which is related to the system or Unix device or else to the users, like that. All these directories and subdirectories and files which are organized in a tree-like structure, which is called as Unix file system. Okay, Unix file system is nothing but it is in the form of a tree structure. So a directory which contains files and subdirectories, it contains further few other subdirectories or files and so on. Okay, so based upon that, what means we can come to know that files in the Unix system are organized into multi-level hierarchy structure, which is called as directory tree. Now we will see what is Unix file structure. So here you can see the diagram, right? This diagram is representing a tree-like structure. Okay, this is called the Unix file system and the structure of the Unix file system. Root user is nothing but the home directory for super user. Super user means like a system admin. The account's home directory is usually on the initial file system, and if anybody have an access as a super user or admin, we will call them as a root user. Using the root user permissions, we can add the users, we can create the users, we can revoke the permissions of the users, we can remove the users from the file system or a Unix system, and so on. Here in the first level we are discussing about bin. Bin means binary files. The bin directory contains the binary files, all the binary files which are used by almost all the users, like very basic commands like cp, ls, cat. Some commands we will generally use irrespective of the role of the user. Okay, binary files. And dev is nothing but it is a short term for device, system device. Unix or Linux system devices. It may be a printer, or it may be some other thing like pager, printer, IO device, like that. Home. Home means this is very generic for every user. Means if we create one user in the Unix file system or Linux file system, the user will have the home directory by default. Every user will have a specific home directory which is pertaining to that user only. Whatever the activities that user will do, like creation of folders, working on shell scripts, commands, or do some activity, all those activities will be stored under home directory for that specific user. Root, we already discussed. TMP is nothing but temporary files. TMP, it is used for storing the temporary files. For every Unix or Linux environment, the TMP folder is very important if you are working in the real time, because when we are asking something from the dependency teams, they will transfer the requested files to the TMP path, and from there we will copy to our system, and we will analyze actually those logs and whatever the files we got. Generally we will use the TMP folder very much in the real time. TMP folder is nothing but it is a kind of folder. Generally we will use it as a shared folder. Okay, where is nothing but in short we will call it as variable. It is like a place for the files that may change very often, especially in size. So that kind of files will be stored in the var. And boot is nothing but the name itself saying that booting process, booting related. So if you want to boot our booting process has to be happen finally. Whatever the shell script or program which is beyond that process, that will be stored in the boot file or boot folder in case of any errors during the booting process. So at that time also we can go there and we can see what is the error files and what is the error which is caused boot doesn't happen properly, and etc. It is very important for everyone to know, but most of the times in the real time, right, we don't touch this etc folder because this is very crucial and critical, as it contains a system-wide configuration files and system databases. If you touch any file or any directory, any subdirectory, so if you try to modify it, as I know that maximum general users in the system won't have an access to this etc folder. They will have the access, like they can view the files, but they cannot extract the files, they cannot modify the files, they can't do anything. At least I can say that for few of the files, very important or crucial files, we may not have an access to view also. Okay, and lib, the name itself saying that it is for libraries, whatever the libraries we need to run our programs, shell scripts smoothly. So the required all the libraries will be placed under lib. Proc means process. Okay, user, see here. So as I already explained you, right, bin, it contains the main system commands, etc, it contains the system configuration, dev, it contains the system devices. As we already discussed, the system devices may be a printer or else some other system which is in the network, or else we can say that IO device. And USR contains the user files. Okay, TMP, it contains the temporary files. Boot, the files used to boot the machine. Okay, home directory, it is specific to every user. Lib is the system libraries. MNT, mounted file systems. Okay, we already discussed all these parts, that's why I'm just covering very quickly all these things. OPT means user programs, and root we already discussed. SBIN is like system binaries. User means actually it's not user, system binaries uses for booting the system. Temporary files. Okay, these are only important things. This is the SIGBIN that we have discussed in the Unix second session. I have explained you, right, how to install the SIGBIN. Okay, so we want to see the root directory, right? Once you log in, you will see a prompt here. So generally we will call it as a prompt string. Prompt string. There are 4 types of prompt strings available Unix or Linux. I will explain you what is a prompt string and what are the differences between all the available prompt strings, how to modify it, everything. Okay, just remember that this is a prompt string. Whatever we are seeing here, prompt string. This is a customized prompt string because I have modified it. So if I open a new session also, I will be displayed with the same prompt string because I have amended the existing file which will be displayed here. Let's remove, and we want to see the root directory, right? As I said, root directory in the Unix or Linux, it will be denoted by using the /. We are in the root directory. Here, see, we are in this root directory. If you want to go to home directory, don't worry, I will explain all these commands in coming sessions. Okay, I will try to cover up the required commands for this session. Just I will give you a brief intro on each and every command that I am working here, but in-depth explanation on particular commands in the further sessions. Okay, not here. PWD here is nothing but, if you enter PWD and press enter, you will see the present working directory. PWD is nothing but present working directory. Okay, so we are in the root directory, that is why we are seeing a / here. So I want to go to home directory, my home directory. So CD, nothing but, CD is nothing but change directory space to which means what is the target here? Home directory for me. Now enter the PWD. Now see the present working directory. See, now I am in home directory. Okay, let's see. So I have moved to bin directory. If we click on PWD, now you can see I am in bin directory. Let's see. If you want to see or display whatever the files which are available in that particular path, what you have to do, we have a specific command to list the files, to see the files. Okay, we are in bin directory. I want to see what are all the files available in the bin directory. ls is nothing but list the files, available files. It will list. Oh god, so many files are there. See, if you click on ls, it will list out whatever the files which are there available in the bin directory. Okay, organized way. I want to see more details about this each and every file, more information. So for every command we have to pass some parameters. If we pass the required and the correct parameters, we will see the data L, T, L, nothing but ls space hyphen L is means, see what we will get here. Now we got some information about this file, this file like that. So what is the information that we got? In the long format. ls means we got in a we got only file names. If you want to see the information related to each and every file in a long format, okay, for that we have passed one parameter that is called L. We have so many parameters. However, I will explain you all those parameters for the ls command in coming sessions. Okay, fine. If you want to see the etc, I told you, right, etc is very critical and crucial directory. See, these are the files. See, you can see here setup related, some bash, logout, shells, what are the shells available, what is the profile. Profile means it is related to user profiles, created user profiles, so many things here. So we have covered all these parts. So far we covered Unix file system or file hierarchy and file structure. This is the generic way of structure, like root directory, in the users, public, miscellaneous, staff. In that we have another option, students, under public software doc. This is way of organizing the data. See here, clearly you can see here, organizing the data through different directories, subdirectories and files. Okay, in a hierarchical way, tree like structure. Okay, next concept is different types of files in Unix. So what are the files we have listed here? So the kind of files are nothing but ordinary files, directories, special files, pipes, sockets, symbolic links. This is an ordinary file. Ordinary file is nothing but a file which stores the programs or text data or some images, like that. We will see the ordinary files. Clear? Go to my home directory, list out, yeah, some files are there. See here, this is a file, this is a file, this is a file, but sample is a directory. Sample1 is a directory, as well as dummy and Rajesh also directories. How do we know that this is a directory, this is a file, some other file is a special file, some other file is a character file or block size file? How do we know that? If you use LSL to list out the files, we will get the files in a long format. There you can see here first part in that each row which denotes this character, first character, which denotes the type of the file. Here it is showing it as D, nothing but this is a directory and this is a directory. Here sample and sample1 also directories, but if you see this file, the first character is hyphen. Hyphen is nothing but this is a ordinary file. And here also, see here, till last record, test2, test3, test1, test2, test3, all are ordinary files. Ordinary files are nothing but we don't know what it has stored. But so far we cannot say that whether it is a test file, text file, or else some other program file, or else some executable file, because we are not seeing any specification here. We can say that by seeing the first character, we can say that this is the file, but we are not aware of what is the file contains. Okay, if you are not aware of that, if you want to know the file type, there is a command, file space, give the file name. What it is saying, the test file is empty. Okay, I will try with the directory. See here, sample, see, file space, give the file name here, give the file name or directory name there. It will show you the type of file, whether it is a directory or file, or else executable file or program or something. Okay, in our scenario it is showing as directory, correct, right? Sample is a directory because it is starting with D. And special files. So special files, there are two special files mainly, character special file and block special file. For example, if we choose if we choose the character special file for the IO device, what it will happen when we are retrieving the data or nothing but writing the data, it will retrieve a character by character or write the data character by character to the specific device. On the other hand, if we choose block special file, in that scenario, if we choose the block special file, what it will do? The IO device either retrieving or writing to and from the device. A chunk of data will be write to the disk, or else chunk of data will be retrieved from the some device. Okay, you understand, right? What is the difference between character and block special files, which are used to retrieve and write some data to the devices, but as per our requirement we have to choose which one is better for our requirement, whether character by character or chunk of data. Okay, and another special file is symbolic link. It is very important. Simply we can say that link in Unix is a pointer to a file. Links in Unix are pointers pointing to a file or a directory, and creating link is a kind of a shortcut to access a file. Nothing but what we are doing here, by creating the link to a specific directory or file, we are accessing the file or directory in a different way using one link. Okay, link it allow more than one file name to refer to the same file. Means for one file to one target file, we can create many links as per requirement whenever we want it, with whatever the naming convention we want. There are two types of links: soft links or symbolic links. Second one is hard links. What is the difference between the soft or symbolic link and hard link? This is one of the important interview question. Just listen carefully. It is very easy, but understand the concept here. Like if you are working with the soft link, we have created a soft link or symbolic link to a file. I have deleted that file. Soft link is displaying as a file in the Unix file system. I went there and I tried to access the soft link which has been created earlier. What will happen? Nothing will happen, because whatever the link that we have created with the target file, it is delinked because the target file is deleted from that path. Still it is showing in the directory structure. The link is displaying in the directory structure, but there is no use. There is no use. On the other hand, if you create a hard link to the target file, though you have deleted the target file, still you can access the target file data using the hard link, because soft link, what it will do, it will just connect to the target file using some link, some pointer. If you remove that target file, the pointer is like a orphan. There is no target. So obviously if you click on symbolic link, where it will go? There is no target file, right, in the system. But hard link, what it will do? It will can say that hard link is not like a symbolic link. What it will do? Just though we are creating a hard link to the target file, hard link also will store as a separate file in the Unix file system with the same content, with the same properties, with the same configuration. Whatever the target file contains, the same will be available in the hard link file also. After removing the target file, if you go to that hard link available path and try to view the data in the hard link file, you will see that there will be no issue, because already we discussed it, right? Though it is a hard link, it will maintain the same copy of the data available in the target file. So we can say that symbolic or soft link is a kind of a shortcut. If we create a shortcut for some application, and whatever the target application is available in some path, right? If we remove that application in that path, the shortcut icon is like a dangle one, means it won't work. In the same way, symbolic link, but hard link we will work on, because it is like a concept of copy and paste. We are just copying the same data and pasting and giving some other name, whatever the required name we are giving for that copied file data. And one more thing is, if you update any data in the target file, the related hard link file will be updated automatically. But in case of soft or symbolic link, it won't happen. If we change the name of the original file, then all the soft links for that file become dangling. Nothing means they won't work. In case of hard link, it will work. Okay. And soft link, if you want to link the files across the file systems, you can only use the soft or symbolic links. On the other hand, if you try to create a hard link across the file systems, it won't work out. This is the main disadvantage of hard links, because we cannot create for, means the link cannot be created for files on different file systems. Hard link will work only within the file system. Another disadvantage of hard link is it cannot be created for special files or directories. See how to create a soft link and a hard link. The command to create a soft link is ln link, okay, space parameter yes. It is the means we are saying that we are creating the soft link. Here original file name I am giving it as test, and what is the file name that you want to give to the created soft link? It is like created test. See here, list out. Yes, here down you can see here it is newly created now. See, this is the name of the soft link file we have given. This is the original file test. See here how it is showing. This has a link to or pointer to original file. One more thing you have to notice here. So far we have seen directory and ordinary file. Here we see first character as L. If you see the first character as L, that means that is a link. Okay, that is a soft link. You got it right? Test2 etc. I will explain you what is this command and what to use and what are the required or mandatory parameters for that. So far just you have to know that we are trying to move this original files to some other path. List out. See here, now we are not seeing the test file. Original file is moved on. But okay, at least we should have some data in it, right? Cat test 1. No data here. We will write some data, okay? Now, to view the file data, we will use cat command. There are a few other ways to view the file data. However, just I am telling you, means this is the command, cat command we are using to view the file content. See, earlier there is no data. Now we have enter some data to the test1 file. If you try to view it, you can see whatever the data we have given here, it is displayed here. Okay, we have some data in the test1. I am creating some soft link now again to test1. Try to do it again. ln link soft link. What is the target original file? test1 created test1. This is the name we are giving to the newly creating soft link file. Enter. List out. Yeah, it is created. Now cat created. See, I am trying to view the content from created test1 file. Yes, whatever the data which is available in test1 file, the same is reflected in the created test1 file soft link. Now I am moving this test1 to some other path. Let's see, test1 is not here. Now try to execute the same command. So I am trying to view the content of created test1 soft link file data. Enter. See what it is showing. No such file or directory, but this file or directory is displaying here, right? In the file system it is showing clearly, but when you try to hit or give the command or see the content of this file, what it is happening, the cursor is actually searching for the data in the test1 file, but this original file is moved to some other path, so it won't work. Okay, now we will create the hard link. To create the hard link, ln, what is the original file name here? Again we will cd etc move test1 to my home. Test1 is not here. Okay, what I will do is move test2 to home. Go to home, list out. Now I can see test. What I will do is I will write some data because there is no content in the test. Testing tested, writing it to test file. Okay, cat test. See, we are seeing the content, whatever the content we have given here. That is fine, right? Okay, now we will create a hard link to this test file. To create a link, what is the command? ln command space, what is the original file here? Test. What is the file that we want to give the give the name to the hard link file? Created hard link. List out here. See, created hard link we have created now. And one thing you have to notice, for soft link, the naming convention, it is displaying in the way like the name of the soft link pointing to the target file, original file, but for hard link there is no concept like that. It is directly showing as a different file in the file system. Okay, now what we will do here, cat created hard link. I am trying to see the content of newly created hard link file. Yes, testing tested, you got it. Now I will move the original file to some other path. List out. Yes, test is moved to some other path. Now again I will try to see the content of hard link file data. Yes, still I'm able to see the data. This is what we have discussed so far. You have you have noticed and you got it right. What is the difference between soft link and hard link? It is very important interview question. And we also discussed the disadvantages, like across the file systems we cannot create hard link, but we can create a soft link. We cannot create hard link for special files and directories. We are done with the links concept, soft link and hard link concept. Now named pipe. See, named pipe is a special kind of file. Generally it is used in inter-process communication. Even sockets also is used in the inter-process communication. What is the inter-process communication means? Processes which communicate each other internally. It invokes for something like that. Any the purpose is okay. That is secondary, and because we don't need the exact functionality of processes communication here. However, the functionality and the uses for sockets and named pipes, the uses, it will be used in the IPC, inter-process communication. Okay, I will tell you what is the inter-process communication means. For example, here I am creating, what I am doing here, I am trying to count the number of lines, characters and words in this file. Okay, or else paste one line, 3 words, 20 characters. Word count, I will explain you about this word count command later, not in this session. What I am doing here, just I would like to know the number of words and the number of lines and number of characters in this file. For that, what I am doing, as usual, I am trying to see the content of the file. Along with that, what I am doing, I am using the pipe symbol here, and I am using another command. Nothing but whatever the output of this command will be a input to this command. How it is possible? Using this pipe symbol. Here pipe symbol will work as a temporary file. The pipe symbol will store the output of this cat file name output, and it will stream to this word count command as an input. You got it right? So whatever the pipe, it is working as a temporary file. That is called a named pipe, inter-process communication. Sockets means it is also in the same way, but it works in a different way, like on the different file systems, on the remote file system. If you want to communicate something, in that concept we will use sockets. And next is this is very important. We'll start this Unix file permissions. And you know what is the use of a permission? For example, you are staying in your home, some unauthorized person, unknown person is trying to enter into your house. What you will do? Will you allow him or will you allow her to enter and to rob whatever the means money, gold you have saved in your home? No, right? So in the same way, Unix file system contains very crucial and critical information. That kind of files and directories, subdirectories should be secured using the concept of file permissions. Nothing but For example, one file which should be available to all the group members in a team. Okay, right? But few files should only be accessible to the team lead, or only be accessibility to the subject matter experts or to the managers. How can you decide and define the file permissions? By setting means role based permissions, like that. That is totally a different concept. Just for your understanding, I have explained you here. So file permission is very crucial and important in the Unix or Linux. Based upon that only, so we can access a file, and some other people can access, or we can deny them to access the files. Okay, what are the ways to give the Unix file permissions? See here, Unix file permissions. Here we are seeing that there are three parts for Unix file permissions. I will show you here. List out in a long format. I am explaining you here. This is called the first column. The first column of this record. For every record, the first column indicates the file permission. This permission is only related to this specific file. This file permission is only related to this file, like that. See here. Okay, we already discussed first character that defines the type of the file. Okay, just leave that part. So remaining characters in the first column, which decides who can see that, who can access that, who can execute that, who can write that, who can edit that file data. Okay, see here, we can divide the characters 3, here 3 and 3, total 9 characters. First 3 characters are for users, means the user who has created this file, owner of the file. This first 3 characters belongs to the owner user. Okay, second related to the users, means list of users who belongs to the same group, user group. Okay, and last 3 characters belongs to public, others. They are not belongs to, means they neither belongs to user group nor belongs to user, means neither owner nor belongs to user groups. We can say that others are public. So based upon that, what we are saying, R denotes that read permission, W denotes that write permission. Here we will give the permission for executing. See here, if we want to give the permission for executing that file as well, now we will give that X permission here. So 3 characters are mandatory to give, or to discuss or to refer about the permissions, file permissions or directory permissions. See, this is for file, and directory also the same way. If you remove the first character, what are there? Read, write, execute. In the same way, read, write, execute. In the same way, read, write, execute. Concept is same for directories or special files. The file type may be anything, but the concept here is same across all file types. Okay, 9 characters. First 3 characters for user, nothing but the owner of, means owner who created that file. Second means next 3 character set is for the list of users belongs to the same users group or same owners group. Last 3 characters, it denotes public, others, neither they belongs to user group nor owner or user. You got it right? Now you will understand this diagram easily. See here, already we discussed, right? Unix file permissions, user, group and all. For user, read, write, execute, group, read, write, execute, and all, read, write, execute. And one more thing here, see this one file type we already discussed. If it is hyphen, it is an ordinary file and a regular file, and if it is a D, means the column is starting with hyphen, is ordinary and normal file. If it is starting with directory, means directory file. Owner, group, other users are public. Owner part, read, write, execute. For read, if you give the 4 means read highest is 4 only. You may think that no, I want to give 2 for read. No, it's not. It is already predefined. If you want to give the read access to owner, group, or other users, read access means it has 4 permission. 4. Write means 2. Execute means 1. It is owner, group, other users. Either of the places, if you want to give the read access, you should give 4 access, and if you want to give the write access, you have to mention 2. If you want to give the execute permission for that file or directory, you have to mention 1. Total, what is the total value? 7. Okay, let me explain you here. See here, for this hard link, what is the total for user here? Here we have only read write, no execute, right? So what is the read value? R value 4, write value 2. 4 plus 2, 6. Okay, for user 6. For group, what is the value, total value? We can see only read, right? We can see only read for group. So nothing but 4. Here 6, here 4. Same way, other users also only read access. So 4. What is the file permission? What is this created hard link file permission? 6, 4, 4. How do we know that? Just click on the, let's see. I think it won't work here because to execute this command we need super user access. In Sigwin there is no super user concept here, so we cannot execute a few commands which have to be worked by super user. I can explain you in particular scenarios. I can explain you the commands, what to do, how to work on those commands, but I cannot show you practically. But I can give you complete information on that. Okay, there is a stat command. Use this, and we have to give the annoyance cannot stat. If you want to know anything about any command, if you are not aware of that command, we have a option called man. Man means manual. Manual of means for which command you want the manual? For stat command. See. So what is the parameters we need? File system format, printf, append help, percentage a, nothing but octal format, access rights in human readable form, percentile capital A, number of blocks allocated, and so we don't need all these things. We want to know, means we can use either %A, %capital A based upon our requirement. We don't need all these things. Okay, what is the total size? Escape, quit. Okay, stat percentage yes. Now we want percentage A, right? Percentage capital A. Now what it is showing, the octal representation it has to show actually. Access is, yeah, here. See here, I am executing that command again. Stat percentage small a, percentage capital A, and the parameter is what is the file name, for which file we want to see the octal representation or human readable format representation of a particular file or directory permission. Press enter. See here, you can see access. So it is showing we already, this means we already calculated, right? For that file, this is the file permission. Octal representation is 644. This is what we have calculated, right? Read 4 plus write 2, 6. For groups only read access, so 4. For others only read access, so 4. Total 644. If someone asks you what is the permission of that file, you have to calculate like this and you have to say that 644 like that. And we have an option. See, if we create any file, this is also one of the important interview question. If one file is created in Unix or Linux, what is the default permission? What is the default permission value? What is the default permission? Yeah, no need to think about it again, because here we have created and we have seen the permission value. So we haven't did anything, right? We haven't modified the permission, file permission value. So here I will show you. Can say that 644 is the default file permission. Okay, 644 is the default file permission when you create it. For example, if you want to allow group of, means if you want to allow some of the users or group the users who are belong to that owners group, if you want to allow them to write something to the file but they don't have the right access, how to change the file access, how to change the file permission using one command that is called chmod. Ch for change, chmod, change modulation, change mod space, and we have so many parameters here. So for our requirement, what we want to do, we want to give right access to groups. How can we give? There are two ways. Okay, we can give file permissions or revoke the file permissions in two ways. One is numeric way, another one is symbolic way. Generally we will call that, see here, permissions can be symbolic mode or absolute mode. Generally what we have discussed, there are two modes, two ways to means in two ways we can give the permissions and we can revoke the permissions of a file or directory. One is symbolic mode and one is absolute mode, or else symbolic mode, or here we can say numeric mode. Either we can say absolute mode or numeric mode. Now we will see how to give permission. See here, okay, I will explain you theoretically. Now we will discuss about the symbolic mode now. Sorry. If you want to add some permission to a file or directory, you have to use plus. This plus symbol adds the specified permission to the file or directory which is intended. In the same way, if you want to revoke or remove the specific permission from specific group or user or some others, we have to use minus or hyphen, can say that, equal to. If you want to give the permission as is, I will explain you the exactly how we have to give. Equal to, these are the three symbols we have to use while modifying the file or directory permissions in Unix or Linux. Also, how can you give? Okay, here we know that for adding permission plus, for remove the permission minus, for giving the same permission equal. But I want to give the read access. For that only we have few more parameters called. For read, if you want to give the read access, give the means use the R. For write access, use the W. For execute access or execute permission, use the X. If you mention hyphen, nothing but no permission. Okay, just remember these symbols. We will do some practicals here. What is the command we have to use for changing the permissions of a file or directory? chmod. Here what is the parameter we have to give? I would like to give the write access to the group here. So write access, for write access, what is the letter we have to use? W. I want to give write access, that is why using plus symbol. Okay. For group I want to give write access. What is the file name? See, what is the command? chmod. For which part of the file permission you want to modify? For groups, right? We want to give the write access to groups, that is why group. You want to give or revoke? Give, that is why we are adding, that is why plus symbol. And what access? Write access. Now we will see list out. Yeah, it got changed, I think. So yes, see here. Earlier we can see there is no write access for groups. Now we can see write access. In the same way, we can modify the file permissions, directory permissions for users, groups and others. Okay. Another question is what is the full file or directory permission? What is the value of complete permission for a file or directory? What is the value? Read 4, write 2, execute 1. We already seen, right? So 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. In the same way, for groups also 7. Here others also 7. So what is the value of full file permission or directory permission? 7, 7, 7. Then how to give full permission? If someone asks you, grant me full permission to a specific file, at that time what you have to do is use this command chmod, and directly you can say here, I told you, right, there are two ways to give and to grant and revoke the permissions from file and directory. We have seen in the earlier example, we have seen it is a symbolic note, symbolic way of granting or revoking the permissions for a file or directory. Now we are just discussing about numeric or absolute mode, absolute way. Okay. So what is the value of full file permission for user? 7, groups 7, others 7, space for which file? This is the file. Just press enter, list out. See here, earlier it was 664. Now it is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, 777. Got it, right? See here. we already discussed this part. We use it here, right? We want to here. So if you want to give access or remove access in the symbolic mode, you have to use this one U. We already used. For groups G, for others O, for all A. Okay. For example, for this file, I want to revoke the read access. I want to revoke the read access for others. Okay. How to do it? chmod for others, right? For which group I want to revoke the access? For others. Others means O. What I am doing here, revoking means removing. So minus which access? Read access to file name, this file name. See here, we have complete read write execute to others now. After executing this command, see here, hyphen, nothing but for this particular file there is no read access to the others. In the same way, we can play with all these permissions for files and directories. Okay, just understand the concept and go ahead and do practice. So we are done. In the same way, for here we have used for read access. We can use write access and execute access as well. Here we have mentioned O for others. If you want to do the same for groups, you have to replace O with G. If you want to do the same for users, you have to replace O with U. Okay, just I am replacing O with U, nothing but for user we are revoking the read access. See here, earlier user has a read, write, execute access. Now only write and execute access. In place of read you can see hyphen, nothing but there is no read permission. You got it right? Then move on to further topic. What is the further topic? Yes, there are two commands. How to see, for example, if I create some file, don't worry, I will explain you about this touch command. Okay, just I am creating one simple file here, empty file here. See, you can see here, file is created with a file name. This is empty. Okay. For example, I have created a file. So obviously, I have created that file. Nothing but who is the user of that file? Myself. But if you want to change the user of the file further, means someone has worked on that file. In few days, after few days, some other person is working and he need that complete access, complete ownership, because who has created the file initially, he is moved to some other team or some other organization. Now I am only dealing with this file. Obviously, I should be the owner of this file. Then how to change that? For changing the permissions, chmod. So in the same way, to change the owner, to change the owner of the file, chown, change owner. Okay, and give the username. And replace to which file. This is the command. Just remember, and if you have the nothing but root user access for your in your system, okay, try to execute this command, change owner. Try to change the ownership. But what is the error it is showing? Invalid user Chaitanya. Because what I am doing here, I am trying to change the ownership from Rajesh to Chaitanya here for this file. Okay, but this Chaitanya user should be available in the Unix or Linux file system. Until then, it will treat it as no user, unknown user, because this user is not available on the file system. We can create the users, admin only can create, sysadmin or super user or root user only can create the users. There is a command called add user. Okay, add user, but we don't have an access here. But remember, if someone asks you, right, you can say that using the ch1 we can change the ownership of the specific file or directory. In the same way, we have a ch group. So by seeing that, you can say that change the group. Okay, you can ask one more question. We have a command for change the owner, change the group. We can also have a command for change the others, because owner, group, others, these are the partitions in the files and directories. Partitions means permission partitions. But we can change the owner, we can change the group, but there is no need to change the others, because others are nothing but public domain. No need to change it. If you change it also, it will become others only. Okay, change group also you need a root access to execute. The same way, you have to use the ch group, the new group name, and the old means the file name. Now we will see the interview questions and answers. Question: will you able to perform cd into a directory with only read permission? What they are asking, will you be able to perform cd means change directory into a directory with only read permission? Actually, no. Answer is no. With only read permission, we cannot cd into any directory, because to cd into any directory we should have execute permission also along with read permission. So answer is no. Next question: how to display file permissions in octal format of all the files in a directory and subdirectories? Read the question once again. How to display file permissions in octal format? Octal format is nothing but like 777 users, groups, others. 666 are default file permission. 644. Once you create any file in the Unix or Linux, the default and initial file permission is 644. So they are asking us to display the files, subfiles or subdirectories in one directory. We have to display the file or subdirectories permissions in one directory. We'll see. There is a command called stat c %a to display in octal format. %A %n to display the file name. So directory is sample /star. See here, this is the same thing, right? They have asked us to display each and every file or subdirectory format, file permission in octal format. See, do we have all the files with 777 format, file permission? Let's see, cd into sample list out. Yes, all files are with 777 full permissions. So we have executed this command and we have been resulted with the requested question answer. Got it, right? Stat command parameter is c and %a to display file permission in octal format, %A to display in human readable format like read, write, execute, and %n to display the file name. Got it? Okay. Next question. How to reset the file permissions to default if those files have been granted with full permissions or some other permissions by mistake? What they are saying is, I have created one file, but by mistake I should have given the file permission as 644, but I have given the full permissions like 777. How to revoke it? How to revoke it or reset it? How to get the default file permission for that specific file or list of files? To execute this activity, this task, to complete this, we have one command in Unix, that is rpm. But the thing is, you have to means you should have the super user access to execute the rpm command as well. As I already told you, right, Cygwin doesn't have our root user access. Cygwin doesn't have the root user access. That is the reason I'm explaining the command here. If any one of you have the root user access to your system, please execute this rpm command with these parameters, and at last, after the set terms, give the file name or directory name. If it works, or means either of the scenarios, if it works or not, please let me know through your comments. Okay, thank you. And use the rpm space -a space hyphen set perms, okay, and space file name. That is the answer. Last question. How to grant same permission to the directory and its subdirectories and files in it? What they are asking, give the same permission as like directory has to its subdirectories and the files reside in it. Got it, right? What they are saying is, if I have, means if my directory has 777 permission or 644 permission or whatever the permission is, the underlying, means whatever the files and subdirectories are placed or reside in this directory should have the same permission set. Let's see, we can do it. Okay, let's see. cd sample, it has, okay, in sample there are 4 files with the full permissions, and the sample directory also have the same set of permissions, 777. What I will do is chmod 644 star. So what I am doing here, change the mode of the existing files. What is the mode? Default mode, that is 644. Okay, to which files? Here I am using regular expression star, that is nothing but whatever the files which are reside in this directory. It may be a directory, subdirectory or file, all should be assigned with 644 file permission. Enter. Again list out. See here, before giving this chmod command, we can see that full permissions to all the files. Here 644 file permissions. cd list out. Okay, now sample has the 777 permission. What I am doing here, chmod 777 sample, no such file all directory means see here. Now all the files permissions got changed to 777 successfully. For that we have given this command chmod space -r, nothing but recursively, capital R is nothing but recursively go through this directory until last file or last subdirectory, whatever it is there. For all of the files and subdirectories, please give this 777 permission recursively. Okay, no need to loop throughout this, just you have to give this parameter. That itself means it will take care of everything. So chmod or 777 and sample here. Got it? Okay guys, we are done with this today's session. I hope that you understand the concepts fine, and I try to explain detail. As you know, can see that the duration of this session is more than 1 hour. So after this session, please do practice. Not only after this session, after every session, please do practice to have a grip on the subject and continuation knowledge on that. And let's see, in the coming session I will try to explain you the daily usage commands. Very regularly we will use some of the commands in Unix or Linux, but very important, and we should have those commands handy. Such kind of commands I will explain you clearly in detail way. And till then, have a nice day. Bye bye.